So what's up, you guys? So I've tried to make this video like 4 times, and each time I forget to mention something that needs to be mentioned. So hopefully this is the last time I'm doing this, because if I don't get it after this, I'm just not making a video about it. But anyway, so for those that watch my channel on a regular basis, I've said in the past that I wasn't going to really do anything to the Jeep. You know, I did the bulbs and I did the lights and stuff. That's just so I could see a little bit better. Shit like that. But like I said in one video when I got it, you know, I was gonna lower it and put some nice wheels on it and stuff like that. I was gonna put the really nice headlights on it, the nice tail lights, stuff like that. Well, not doing really any of that. I don't see the point in spending the money for the headlights. You know, yeah, I want them, but that's money that I'm not going to get back. You know, same thing for the tail lights. And even the thing that I did today, it's not going to help. It helps me, but it's not going to help my return on it if I sell it or trade it, whatever. It might be something that people actually don't want. But anyway, so I lied to myself and I lied to everybody else, saying that I wasn't going to do nothing to it. And everybody knows that, especially people that know me personally. They know me better than that. And I did something to the Jeep yesterday. There's not a lot out there that I've noticed for this Jeep, just because these are independent suspension vehicles all the way around. They're not like a Cherokee, not a Cherokee. They're not like a Wrangler or a Gladiator, and they've got, you know, solid axles front and rear. These, yeah, I guess you could take them off-road, but they're not going to perform the same way as a Wrangler or a Gladiator. I keep wanting to say Cherokee, but, you know, it is what it is. So there are people that make lift kits for these, leveling kits, stuff like that, but I chose just to put a leveling kit on it. So I put a 2-inch leveling kit on it from Rough Country. It was like $50. Didn't take that long to put it on. I bought it off of Amazon. And yeah, it's on. It's done. It's a good, you know, doesn't look horrible. You can't really tell unless you look at it for a little while and you realize, yeah, it's a little bit higher. It's not substantial. Granted, when I pulled it off of my jackstands yesterday and put it on the ground, it obviously looked higher, but that's just because the suspension wasn't settled. It was still in a bind, so I had to go and back it down the driveway and drive it a little bit, and then when it settled, it finally looked better, like it does now. I haven't driven it on the road, so I don't know how bad the alignment is, or I don't know, you know, any kind of issues like that. The alignment's got to be checked regardless. Doesn't matter. That's something you always do when you mess with suspension, whether that's replacing components, installing a lift, leveling kit, lowering kit, whatever it is. You need to check the alignment, because especially if you're going to replace wheels and tires, you don't want to go spend money on $2,000 set of tires, and they only last you about 1,500 miles when they're supposed to last you like 60,000 miles. So take the extra time, do that like you're supposed to. So I'll be doing that soon, and it'll help. I'm going out of town to go on vacation this week, so it's definitely will let me see how it rides. It still rides fairly nice. It's not stiff, which I was expecting it to be. Typically when you put leveling kits on vehicles, depending on how high it is, they do get stiffer. This one doesn't seem to get stiffer, so we'll see, and I'll let y'all know how it goes. But like I said, this is a 2019 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited 2-wheel drive V6. Nothing fancy. Nothing else is done to the vehicle aside from the leveling kit as far as suspension and drivetrain and anything like that. So it doesn't have a front differential since it's 2-wheel drive. There are parts of this kit that I didn't have to do because it's not 4-wheel drive, and there are some things that don't make sense. So when you look at the listing for this Jeep or for this kit, it says that it's on Amazon, it says for the 2020 or the 2011 to 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee WK2, which is a platform, 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive, whatever. But if you look at the instructions, it says 2011 to 2018 Jeep WK2 2-inch leveling kit. And I had a feeling this was going to happen, because Rough Country, as like most companies, they don't update their instructions, or they don't update the model years unless it's something that's popular. So as you can see, mine's a 2019, as I said, so obviously it goes past what this paper says, because at first when I saw this, when I saw the instructions, when I pulled it out of the box, I saw that it said 2018. I was like, that's not good. It made me think about it a little bit, but I had the strut out, and I went ahead and tested it, and everything fit. As you can see, everything fits. There's nothing on the ground. There's nothing extra. It wasn't left over with parts. I mean, I took the skid plate off, but I don't think that's necessary. I only took that off so that I could jack it up from the subframe and put the jack stands on the subframe. That way it was supporting the vehicle and all that stuff, and the jack stands weren't going to be in my way. Yeah, that's just Rough Country not updating their instructions, which I'm not surprised. They did the same thing with the lift kit that I had on the Tahoe that's on my channel, that red 2006 that I put their 6-inch lift on. So yeah, but anyway, that's how much it is right now. It's $51.42 as of today. Today's August 20th, 2024. So it's $51.42 today, right now. So if it changes, there's nothing I can do about it. But in the description, I will put a link to that kit just in case anybody else wants to buy it for themselves. I did it by myself. It didn't take that long. As I said, I did this yesterday. So I started at like 3 o'clock and tore this apart with anticipation of it getting here. The kit got here like 5 or 5:30. So I started on the passenger side because, for one, it was in the shade, and two, just because. And then I did the driver's side. Don't be like me, and just a word of warning, don't be like me and take the Swaybar end links off of both sides, because the Swaybar end length is under tension because it's tightened at a certain spot. It's tightened when everything is at ride height and the weight of the vehicle is on it. So don't do that, because then I couldn't get the damn thing back on. So don't do that. Leave one side on at a time, and swap sides when you're done. So anyway, there are, as I said earlier, there are some steps that I didn't have to do because this isn't a four-wheel drive vehicle. So I didn't have to deal with the axle nut, didn't have to deal with a CV axle, didn't have to deal with any of that stuff. The instructions pretty much want you to blow the whole front suspension apart. They want you to take the caliper off with the bracket. They want you to take the spindle off and the knuckle and all. Well, the knuckle and the spindle are the same thing, but they want you to take the knuckle and all that off. They want you to, do all that shit. I didn't have to do all that, because all I did was literally, obviously, undid the upper strut, the 3 bolts for the upper part of the strut, the bolt for the bottom of the strut, the Swaybar end link, and the tie rod. That's all I took off, and I laid the spindle over a little bit. Caliper was still attached. Didn't pull on the brake lines at all, and I was able to get it out. All I really had to do was just push down on the lower control arm a little bit just to get it out of the way, and that was it. So if you have a four-wheel drive, it may add some time. It may add like an hour or two to your total work time. I don't know what the total work time is. I think maybe 2 to 3 hours, maybe 4 or 5. I don't know. But I was also talking to somebody at the same time, so it took me even longer because I would have to stop. Then my neighbor came over and was asking me some stuff. So it took me longer than it probably would at a shop. And I don't have a lift, so it is what it is. But yeah, so I don't know torque specs, and this is something I keep forgetting to put in the video, so I'll make sure I say it now. I don't have torque specs for everything on here, so I can't put them in the description, but I will link a Haynes manual to this vehicle. Obviously, you have to pay for it. I'm not going to buy it for everybody. I ain't even bought it myself yet, because I don't want to buy it and then get rid of it, because then that's just wasted money. Because this isn't something I'm probably going to buy again unless it's a Trackhawk or an SRT8 or something like that. So, it is what it is. But I'll link a link to the manual for this, and it may not show everything. You can also get the torque specs off of All Data for those that buy that. I don't have that, and I'm not going to buy it once just for this. So, and I keep getting different numbers when I look for stuff, because I don't know what the differences are between this and like a 2012. So yeah, but another thing is the calipers. The caliper bracket bolts for this vehicle are different than they are for an older model. So the older models have a 6-point bolt head for the caliper bolts. These have an external torx head bolt, which is an E20, which luckily, as I said, I didn't have to use because I didn't have to take all that shit off. It's pretty unnecessary. You probably don't have to take it all off when you do it on the four-wheel drive versions of this, but I don't know. I don't have one, so I don't know. So your results may vary, but I will put that in the description as a list of all the tools you'll need to do it. Most of it will be geared towards the two-wheel drive versions of this. Obviously, the four-wheel drives, you're going to need maybe another couple of extra tools. Obviously, you're going to need a jack and jack stands, impacts, ratchet, stuff like that. But didn't take me too long. It was pretty easy, pretty good. So all I did was to check just to make sure that it fit, because you know the paper says one thing but the listing says another, because rough country can't do what they're supposed to do and update shit. So I had the passenger side strut already out, so I took the spacer for one of them and put it on top, and it matched up perfectly. And then I made sure to take it over here to the strut tower, put it on, worked perfectly. So I was like, all right, pretty self-explanatory. I've seen what I needed to see. It's a done deal. So then the only kind of modifications you have to do to this is the 3 studs that are on the top of the strut, or the OEM strut. You have to cut 5/8 of an inch off of them from the top, just so that way the actual spacer will fit on top of it, and you have room to be able to put the 3 nylock nuts on it. Excuse me. You do need to make sure that you don't throw away the OEM nuts for the struts, because you do need to reuse those. So be careful of that. Don't just toss them thinking, oh well, I got 3 more. No, because I didn't do that. But yeah, don't do that. But I am going to go over some tools, and I will still link them in the description just in case. So with that being said, I'm gonna get into that. So for the passenger side and the driver's side, they use the same socket, except for the passenger side being a little bit different. You're going to need an extra socket. You're going to need a 10mm socket to get off this bolt or this nut here, and then this nut right here. And it just holds on this bracket right here, and then you can get to the 13mm right there, and 13mm there, and then the 13mm here to take the strut off. And then this 10mm right here, leave it alone, because it holds the gas strut up. It's holding the hood up. So don't be like me and be dumb and go and mess with it. Okay, guess there was a dog in the neighborhood's barking. But yeah, leave that alone. The front, this nut right here, you're going to have to take off just to get the strut out. But this one back here, don't touch it. Leave it alone. And then the driver's side, you don't have all that extra shit, as you can see. All you have is the 3 nuts that hold the strut up. So that'll be done. And then I do want to throw a disclaimer out there. I don't live in the Rust Belt. I live in Georgia. I don't deal with salt at all, and it's very rare that we deal with salt. And if we do deal with it, it's not for very long. So the people that deal with salt, and I don't see why people live in the Rust Belt. It kills me when I see the vehicles that, like Eric O from South Main Auto and Watch West Work and people like that, all the pieces of shit they get brought in that are rusting and falling apart, that look like they're going to fold in half while they're on a lift. But yeah, I don't have those. So needless to say, everything on this vehicle came apart with no issue. The only things that really gave me problems were the upper ball joint and the tie rods, because they spun as I was trying to take them off, which ain't a big deal. So anyway, as I said, all the stuff on the top, 13mm and 10mm, and then the upper ball joint, 13mm. I mean, no, not a 13mm, 21mm wrench, or a socket, but probably a wrench because they're probably going to spin. And then a 6mm for the stud itself. The older models may be a little bit bigger. I've seen a lot of people say that they're 8mm. So, but it's a 6mm for mine. So your results may vary based on the model. And then the Swaybar end link is a 21mm nut. 21mm nut and an 18mm bolt head. And then the tie rod, 21mm socket or wrench. And then the stud is a 10mm as well, so you can use a wrench or a socket on that. And then the lower bolt for the strut, which is right there where my finger is. It's a 27mm socket and or a wrench. It's the same size on both sides for the bolt head and the nut itself. And then the lug nuts are 22mm. And then the skid plate, which you probably don't have to take off, as I said earlier, those are 13mm as well. And I also took it and cleaned it because it had a bunch of nasty oil and shit on it from people that have done services on it in the past. And I did do that too. I did do the oil on it, so it's ready to roll, ready to go. But yeah, other than that, that's it. I can't think of anything else. Like I said earlier, I'll put a link to this kit in the description. I'll also put a link to the Haynes manual for this vehicle. It also works for the Durangos as well, because I think they're all based on the same platform. So, yeah, trying to make sure before I end the video that I don't forget anything. I got all the sizes for everything and all that. So, but yeah, I'll let everybody know how it goes when I go out of town. I'll be driving about 4 hours to go where I'm going on vacation. So that'll give me more than enough time to see how this rides, see how it does. And yeah, when I get back, I'll let y'all know. So other than that, hope y'all enjoyed, and I'll see you later.